And our life is full of up and downs, right? Just we are living in this kind of life. Sometimes emotionally so high and we are so happy, and sometimes emotionally so down. We are stressed and depressed. And it's not just emotionally things. It's about money and everything. We can have high and downs in our lives. And when we look at the example in the Bibles, in Jerusalem, the people of Israel, they have up and downs all the time. In the Old Testament, all the time. Up, they're happy, they're winning, and then down, they're sinning and punished some level. And when we look at the Joshua chapter 5, we can look their kind of current position is kind of high. And in Joshua 5 and 6, now they are coming into the moment to getting the promised land. This promised land promised to Abraham in Genesis 12. This promised land always talked. They heard about that promised land. How beautiful is that? Entire life, all the time. This is not the first moment they're standing that position. The first moment was Numbers 13, right? Numbers 13, lead by Moses. They're coming the point to getting the promised land. But we know all this story about number 13. What happened? 12 spies sent to the promised land. They look and they just come. Two of them, Joshua and Caleb, they said, beautiful country. We need to get it. And the other 10 said, beautiful, yeah, that's beautiful country, but they have strong, big, huge soldiers. We cannot get it. It's too hard. It's impossible. Then because of their lack of faith, they just sent back to the wilderness again. 40 more years. Now, 40 years after, now they're in here. I think they learned from their mistakes, like their daddy and their parents' mistakes. When we look at the chapter 5, before chapter 5, we can see they experienced something. They have kind of encouragement before chapter 5. In the chapter 1 to 9, and God promised to Joshua, I will be with you. Do not worry about that. Be strong and be courage, right? That's just so famous passage. And Joshua, okay, God with me. God is with me. And second part of chapter 1, the people said to Joshua, Joshua, we will follow your instruction. We will be with you, just like we are following Moses. Joshua like, okay. Now I have two encouragement if he comes, right? And chapter 2, that's the kind of second time sending spies. Now this time, not Moses, Joshua sending some spies. They went to the Jericho and they heard about something. Rahab said to them in chapter 2, verse 9, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land have melted away before you. Now they have very good encouragement message from Gentile, right? Now they know, okay, there's no fear. They're melted away already. God promised this land for us. Just, can we count? promised. God promised. And God promised to be with him. And people just promised, we're going to follow you anywhere. Now, people in the land, they're melted away. 4. Then we'll look at the chapter 3. We know what happened when they crossed the Jordan River. They experienced miracle, just like all the time. They were kids. They born in a wilderness. They raised up in a wilderness. All the time they have been hearing some wonderful story about the Red Sea divided. Some of them maybe, what? Is it impossible? It's impossible, maybe. So wonderful. Now they're experiencing that. Am I dreaming? Wow. We're crossing the river with the dry land. Now, we can see they have high level of encouragement. They are in a point of high top. Now, when we look at their background, don't forget about that. They raised up in a wilderness. They're supposed to be like, I can imagine them, like buff guys. The Mongolia is last nomadic nation. We are trying to keeping nomadic lifestyle. I know some nomadic, my friends, my brothers, fleshly brothers in my hometown, like countryside. They're buff. We have same age, but they're so huge and strong guys. We have two different words for calling you. And one is respecting way. I almost look at them and call them like respected way to call because they're huge and buff. Now in this time, they're huge guys, right? Strong, mature enough. They know how to survive. They can eat anything maybe, right? Their first impression, their first thinking from God's guidance. Maybe they're just, oh guys, we're gonna get that city, huh? Just maybe, do you want to push up? And do you want to sharpen your knife or something like that? Maybe they were talking about some physical preparations. When we look at the chapter 5, maybe we can just read 4 to 7. Oh, okay. Before 4, just God told Joshua, circumcise your male. Ooh. Why ooh? Circumcision is a kind of surgery, right? Surgery in the flesh. After circumcision, you cannot move. You cannot fight. It's impossible almost. And because of that, maybe they're so high, now we are strong. But God told them, circumcise your young generation. Because they never circumcised in the wilderness. Look at the 4 to 7. This is the reason why Joshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt, who were males, all the men of war died in the wilderness along this way after they came out of Egypt. 5. For all people who came out were circumcised, but all the people who were born in the wilderness along the way as they came out Egypt had not been circumcised. Now they are not circumcised. But God told them, circumcise them. Why? This promise, this covenant sign is settled with Abraham in the first place. It's found in Genesis 17. Genesis 17, God made the promise with Abraham. I'm going to give you kids, land, blessing, right? Then what is the sign? It's circumcision. You have to be circumcised in the 8th day. You need to be circumcised in order to joining that promise. Now we cannot forget about their coming and getting that promise of Abraham. Now they know, oh, this promise to Abraham, now we are getting that promise is going to fulfill. Now they need to circumcise because of sight of God. And God wants to teach them some so important teaching in here. He wants to teach them, you need to be right in my sight, right? People, they are strong enough, they can maybe fight enough, they can defeat them, right? But God called them, please, depend on me. It's my promise. It is not just physical thing, it's spiritual thing. Maybe circumcision is, why is this weird for them? They're like in a so random, like a place in a danger. They're like in the middle of the enemies, right? When they're circumcised, after their circumcision, if enemies come in, they cannot defeat them. They cannot defend them, right? That's so risky position. But what they need right now, they need trust in God. It reminds me something. Before I come, I was lack of knowledge. I was in a lack of knowledge. And I need some encouragement. I need some knowledge because I need them before I come. Now we're about to going back to the field of fight, right? A spiritual fight. But sometimes we need to understand it's not our work. It is not our job. It's not our fight. It is God's fight. In Old Testament, almost everything of the Old Testament is so physical, right? Fighting and worshiping God with the sacrifice and temple and everything is so physical. In the New Testament, we have so spiritual testament. But we always know, we need to understand, this is not our fight. This is God's fight. If we depend on our knowledge or our source of income or something like that, it is not right. It is not right to God. God called his people to be circumcised in order to join in his promise. God called his people to believe in him and have a faith in him. And if I understand their feeling, and they learned from the first mistake of their parents. Now they just, okay, we need to obey him. Because of the lack of faith, we just went back 40 more years. Now we don't want to copy that. We want to be right in God's sight. That is the most important thing in here. We know. After that, they received the guidance to have to win the battle of Jericho. They received something strange again. God told them 7 times, 7 days. Can you imagine that? Soldiers, buff guys, have so much encouragement. Now they are just instructed like, walk around. Then those guys are, oh, okay, yeah, I will. maybe in our mission field, in your work area, maybe you can feel yourself. I can make it. Guys, Word of the God is saying, it is not our fight. It is God's fight. Depend on Him. Believe in His ways. And this section always answers me my one question. How can I do that? How question. Sometimes we got the goal. We know our goal is there. Preaching or reaching out, something. Maybe in our life we have some different goals, like we receive the goal, but how to reach the goal is important part to God. Before I come to the gospel, I was thinking, okay, worshiping God with any way. That was my thinking. Then after that, I understand how to worship Him, it's important. How to reach out, how to reach the goal, it's so important to God. God wants us to obey Him, have a faith in Him. Sometimes, okay, when we low, when we down, we can just, okay, when we're down, just we feel, oh, I need the help, right? Then I pray or ask help for somebody. But when we high, when we feel we are enough or something, it's so easy to forget this is God's thing. Guys, I want to encourage you guys. Do things God's way. And what happened in your life, high and down, in any position, you have to obey Him and have a faith. He is real.